Is there a reason why you wait so long?
See some people's joining us. Hey, good morning, Stacy. Good morning. Hey, yeah, we're just gonna wait and see where everybody is.
Good morning. As usual, we were on here.
Okay.
We've been on
Ms.
here.
Brown, good morning.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yes, we've been on here. We've actually been on here since 7:30 this morning. So
okay,
yeah,
yes,
we've been waiting. So I decided to go ahead and let him get a little
break. Yes, but we actually start.
I wanted to go ahead and let him get a break.
At 8 a.m.
You know, because we've been on here.
So
for about
nobody's
30
going to
minutes.
actually be on here.
Oh,
at
8 o'clock.
7:30.
You said 8 o'clock.
I'm so sorry.
Because
yes, ma'am.
We've been on here since 7:30. You know, we like to be timely.
Yes, okay.
He's already been studying for the lessons today already, so he's ready.
So if you want to, okay.
Well, let me go get him.
Go grab him.
I'm gonna go get him and I'll have him on here.
All right.
You know, we've been on here since 7:30.
Oh, there's Miss Jenkins. Miss Jenkins. Woohoo! Miss Jenkins.
Huh?
Hey. Yeah. So we're starting now.
She's supposed to be on here right now.
Yes, ma'am. She actually can come on.
She ain't said
now.
nothing to me this morning. She didn't say nothing to me.
It's okay. It's okay.
Wait a minute
yes,
now.
ma'am.
You said she's supposed to be on here right now.
She can come on now. Okay.
Hold on. Let me go get her together. Let me go. Where my shoe at?
Okay.
Where
Take
my
all
shoes?
the time you need.
I done told her about to wait till the last minute. Got the lady on here waiting for her and stuff.
So it's just you and me, Stacy, for now. Did you have a good weekend? Okay.
My mama said she don't never know.
Hey, buddy,
which
how
teacher
are you?
I'm talking to because
you doing good?
She said you always have different hair and different wigs on.
Well, I'm glad your mother has such great observation skills.
What observation means?
Observation means when someone can look at things and give adjectives. Remember, we talked about adjectives about different things.
You don't say that right like you got some sense.
Don't cry, baby. Don't cry. It's okay. It's okay. You're okay. You're okay. Okay, Miss Jenkins. Miss Jenkins. Can you press mute? Remember the button from last time?
Press button.
Yes, ma'am. Press mute. Yes, press mute and until she's done crying. Okay. All right. Yes, no problem. Yes. Okay. It's getting a little awkward.
What awkward mean?
Oh, awkward means
what awkward mean?
When things are uncomfortable.
Well, I'm gonna tell my mama I learned a new word.
Don't.
I'm gonna tell my mama I learned a new word.
Okay. All right. So since things Stacy, this is not the time for Legos, baby. Put those away. Okay, put those away. Okay. So since everything, Miss Jenkins, can you press mute? We can hear her again. I think it got her muted. Can you? Okay. You know what, guys? We're gonna take a break. Okay, we're gonna take a break, and you all can get on to iExcel and Lexia. Get on iExcel for 30 minutes and Lexia for 30 minutes, and then we'll meet back here at 9. Okay? Make sure you tell your parents we'll be back on at 9, okay? All right.
To the city and the road.
We get them all the time. Hello and welcome. My name is Adria Fox, the It Girl, and thanks for tuning in to Got School, a forum created for adults like you and me looking for resources to adapt to this new learning that we're doing from home with our kids. A lot of us are doing this for the first time. So like I said, I get it. We've got school. And this week, it hit me a little hard. That's why I'm sitting down. I usually stand up. But today I'm sitting down because I realize the necessity for us to be tuned in right now. It hit me hard about 9 o'clock on Monday morning. It felt like every person in my community and my neighborhood was tuning into school, had anxiety and frustrations, and I could almost feel it. In fact, I had neighbors reporting that they heard people yelling at their kids from the outside. They were walking through the parking lot and they heard their neighbors yelling at their kids, "Sit down, stay focused." So whether you're tuning in for the first time or you're tuning back in, we got you. You're not alone. This forum was created just for you. You're going to meet educators who have been at this game a whole lot longer than we have, homeschool moms that have homeschooled their children all the way through college. And so we can do this, and we're going to do this as a community. So welcome to Got School. I'm going to bring on my co-host, Steph Groce. Welcome to the stage, Steph. I keep saying stage. Welcome.
Hey, good afternoon, good evening, Adria. Again, as usual, our openings are epic because of the short snippets and vignettes that we present. The resources that we're really giving parents who are going through this homeschooling situation is just are so welcome and needed right now in this point in time that we've gotten a lot of great feedback and support from parents out there. So our session today is packed with a lot of, again, tips and resources from our resident in-house homeschooling parent, Maria Muhammad. She's going to be able to share some of her tips, 3 real important tips over this past week. And again, as a dad who's homeschooling his elementary school kids, it's overwhelming. But one thing that I took away from last week's guest, Dave Farrow, 2-time Guinness Book of World Record holder for memory, is that we can't be so hard on ourselves as parents. And so this week, our special guest, Andrea Zakel-Farrow, aka Miss Memory, yeah, that's right, Dave's wife. She's a rural feminist and certified teacher from Ontario, Canada. And she's going to bring her extensive teaching experience to the Farrow memory method and then share some of that with us. She originally developed the Guinness Book of World Record holder Dave Farrow's mindset to get him where he is, because behind every great man is a great woman. And we want to celebrate her today. And she's worked with her husband to help the Farrow memory method reach hundreds of thousands of students and over 10 million in worldwide sales. So we have her on deck as well. But before we get started, we're going to talk to Maria Muhammad, who's going to really share some of her tips with us. So it's an action-packed show today, and we're looking forward to you listening and tuning in, and appreciate you for doing that.
Hey guys.
Hi, Maria.
Hey, Maria.
How are you?
How you doing?
We was thinking the same vibe. You got the red on, red. What? Looking good. So Maria, bring us up to date. What tips do you have to share with us? Because I'm letting everyone know. At first, I gave myself an F for the week.
Oh no.
I'm not gonna lie. But then I realized I was being too hard on myself. Thank you, Steph, and all the reminders from my network really helped me tune back in and kind of settle myself down. I was way more nervous than everybody else, but I did get out an email to my teachers and the expectations that I'm expecting them to support my kids in this new homeschooling environment.
Right.
You have to use all of your resources. You're not alone. If you tell us you're not alone, you're not alone out there. So, one of the tips that I think we really need to be mindful of is being strict with our schedule. And when I say that, not strict with your children, but strict with outside interference. Shut down the emails, shut down the phone, shut down the Facebook, shut down the TikTok, and really focus on your babies, right? And so that is like the number one rule for homeschooling, it is exactly that. If they were in school, nobody would be on, coming in and interrupting their school time if they were on campus. So you want to respect your same homeschooling time when you're at home with your children. So for me, 8 to 12, do not call me, do not text me, do not email me, or you can, but don't expect anything back until after 12.
Maria, did you say my TikTok?
Yes.
I can't put that thing down. I can't put it down.
I know.
I can't put it down.
I won't even pick it up because I heard it's so addictive. So I won't even try it. Like, I won't even do it to myself.
That's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You on that? I'm with you on that, Maria.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that to heart today. I actually fired myself. And I'm like, I can't do this today. No, my kids are that important to me, and it really made me tune in. That's a great tip. Thank you for sharing that.
Down. So the second one I want to talk is to involve the TikTok, right? To involve the media. Like for tomorrow, my son, for his teach back, he's going to do a skit about globalization and what it's done to the unskilled worker. So instead of him just writing it or, doing an essay, he actually, for his home study or his what we call independent study, is to create that skit, create the lines, create the characters, and then he'll enact it. And he'll get his dad to join in with him to be, to read the lines with him on tomorrow. So that's another thing. And then, of course, he'll post it, maybe to his Instagram page or something like that. So we want to involve the apps and the social media, in a positive way. If they're going to be on them, you might as well use them to your advantage, right?
Hey, in the business world, we utilize every resource available to us for growth and success. Why shouldn't we do that with our students through education?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then my third and final tip for today is to go outdoors. You don't have to be inside while you are teaching your children. We sit out in our front garden. We look at the pollinators when they come to pollinate. We listen to the birds when they interrupt the session. We're like, what are they talking about? We look at the people coming up and down the street and talk to our neighbors, right? And so all the world is a classroom. You don't have to be indoors. You don't have to be in your room. You can be as flexible as you want to be. So go outdoors and do your homeschooling outside.
Maria, that's a great point. One of the things that the reason we've created Got School is because so many parents felt alone and felt abandoned. And our neighbor next door, who's 10, 12 feet away is going through the exact same thing. Why haven't we taken the time and made the effort to knock on their door and say, hey, obviously with distance,
right.
And such, of course, but say, hey, I'm going through this. What are you doing? Can we do a cross? Let's talk.
You're right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Just
I agree with
like some sitcom used to be out years ago. I think it was called some kind of Home Improvement, where he would only see his neighbor's eyes over the fence. So yeah, exactly. So do a home improvement moment and let's connect. This is the time for us to really reconnect. This is the time. So absolutely.
Agreed. So I just want to share this. So I'm not sure how all parents are using getting outside, because my neighbor, her son was running around the quad area, but his two brothers and sisters were in the window saying, "You have 7 more laps to go." So I think
I love it. Use all of the resources.
I will tell you, I've had the kids writing, just like old school chalkboard, write the I will not hit anyone else. Like they're writing those lines and I'm signing off on them.
Do what you have to do, because they really do need to expend some energy sometimes. So yes, run around the quad, do your 10 laps or however many your mom gave you, and just come back and be ready to learn. So I do that sometimes. My son is a little, he's a little big guy to be doing that, but it's not like it's something. Do some push-ups, do some squats, do whatever you need to do to expend that extra energy, because it may be interfering. And then it helps me to know that I may need to switch something up if I'm not, being able to keep him entertained or engaged. Yep.
So Maria, just real quick, recap those 3 bullet points for today. If you can just recap them real quick for us.
No problem. So you want to make sure that you strictly use your time for your children and not anything else. That's number 1. Number 2, you want to make sure you involve social media in a positive way, with their lessons. And then number 3, you want to go outdoors. You can have a classroom and a class time outdoors. You don't have to stick to any particular place in your home.
Maria, thanks for being our in-house homeschool coach. You have deep experience. Your kids started 3 weeks ago, but you've been in this game for a long, long time. So your insight is truly, truly valued, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Make sure you stay around so you can listen to Miss Memory. All right, awesome. So Steph, quiz time.
Oh, let's go.
Okay, so what last week's session is to get my kids up and moving. So throughout the school day. And I think I get a C in this. So Monday morning, I'm fired up. Me and Maya, we go for a walk. Sean gets out. He goes a jog. The last couple of days, he got up super early and jogged. But today, it was a flat line. So I think we just flatlined. So I'm going to take that advice again, is to get them up and moving. It's really, really essential. And then I also learned to use the timer. I set the timer on my phone because they have a schedule. So what I'm learning now is that I need to integrate their schedule into my timer so that I know when they're supposed to be on and when they're supposed to be off and what they're supposed to be doing during those off times, because there's actually work they're supposed to be working on. So when they get back with their teacher, they can actually have a product or something they produced or create. It's work they did. So I'm going to do more effect. Now that I have that, I'm going to keep a closer check on their schedule. I'm going to actually integrate. I'm going to put it on my calendar as well.
Nice. Yeah, for me, it was all about taking the lessons.
What'd you learn?
For me, it was all about taking the lessons and turning them into a story. And one of the things that I took away from Dave was really helping understand mathematics and helping my elementary school age kids understand mathematics by transitioning those numbers and the numerics into a story or a symbol or an image for easier recall and remembering. And so I took that to heart, and I said, hey, you're reading this story. How would you write this story? You're doing this math problem. They've given you a word problem. How would you rewrite the word problem? And so we've actually practiced that over the first 3 days of distance learning this year. And it seems to be working out. Even with my kinder, she's able to take some recent events, the passing of our Black Panther. She understands that from a Marvel universe and MCU universe, and she understands how that story can translate into mathematics, because how many Avengers were there? And now there's -1 more. And so we were able to have that connection piece. And then when we're out on our field trip Fridays, which was last week, we went out and we went to a historic place and talked about it. We actually didn't go out, we drove by it. But I took my own advice and went to Old Town. And so we went to the first schoolhouse. And so we were able to have an actual dialogue about all of that. So that's where we are. And that's what we did. That's what we did.
Amazing. So this week we're going to go up to the Carlsbad, to the water. So if you want to go, if you're in to go to the trip. So we're going to go there on Friday. Yeah, my kids want to drink fresher water. So we're going to go visit that and get them to understand how pH is balanced and where the water comes from. And we'll actually make it an educational trip as well.
Nice.
So Steph, are you ready for more memory lessons?
Oh, the data dump. I've dumped it. I'm ready for it to be replenished. And Mrs. Memory can just really fill that to the brim. I'm super excited about it.
Andrea Farrow.
Welcome to God's School.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Dave's wife, and I had a whole script planned, and then I heard Maria talk, and I wanted to say, Maria, you're my new homeschooling guru. 9 to noon, those were the hours I was already keeping, and just that home improvement comment with Wilson at the we have a neighbor at our fence line, Jerry, who's been talking about gardening and strawberries with Lex since like May or something. So I'm like, I'm already on the right path. I gotta listen to this woman. She's got wisdom. So yeah, you blew my mind. Thank you. So I'm just gonna gloss over some of my own details. A lot of what I have to say in part 2 about teaching comes from my context, which I'm just gonna basically skip a lot of. I'm gonna tell it, but so I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a feminist, I'm a teacher, I'm a lot of things. My dad was a farmer, so I have a rural context. I know what it's like being in nature, like you said, Maria, and going outside and smelling the roses and looking at the blades of grass and seeing what kind of bugs we can see in the dirt, and then look it up and learn about exoskeletons. What we've done with our son in the backyard. And you know what? I had the unfortunate experience of my dad, the farmer, being killed in a hunting accident, and my mom, the widow warrior, raised us on her own. So I kind of like have that as a single parent context to see how those households, you know, have a different context with education when there's only one parent around to divide the attention for help with homework or to pay the bills and all those things we all know about. So my mom, after my dad was killed, she brought us to the village, a literal village community of less than 200. Technically, it was a hamlet where we were raised with my mom's family, who was a granny, no grandpa, he passed away already, but a granny and 4 uncles, my mom in the middle, all footsteps away across a driveway or across around the corner. And this was a literal village raising me, in addition to my actual family, all that had known each other for 2 or 3 generations back. So I'm a literal embodiment of somebody who's been raised by a village, both in a real familial sense and that metaphorical sense. And so I know the value of community and knocking on those doors and meeting those neighbors and kind of reaching out and just saying howdy. And this is what shaped how I do learning, how I've learned for myself. I had a small school, small classes, effective teachers, effective class sizes. There's all this talk about COVID and class sizes here in Ontario, Canada, and how we're going to have small classes. No, you're not. The teachers are cramming 30 desks in a room and they still don't fit. I had small classes. I know it has effective learning because of time and attention with the teacher. You don't get that much one-on-one time when there's a larger class. When you're at home, you get your parents' help 100% of the time. It's like concentrated learning. I think Maria mentioned something like this. I think Dave mentioned that it was like poetry versus prose. It's a concentrated version, 100% apparent all the time. So my thing is, if you are in school, small classes sizes do matter, and that's part of my philosophy. But I guess what I want to say here is
hey, come here.
That my granny and my mom and the small town and the rural, they all kind of influenced my outlook on learning and how you got to do things as a community. I learned the old-fashioned way a lot, the reading, writing, arithmetic, repetition kind of way. And for me, that worked. But it might not for all. Everybody's learning styles are different. But for me, I used it and I know how it works. And I had this brainwave of how to make it not boring and dry and bland and how to sort of make it appealing to the way the brain works. And it was really after I went through that origin story of that, and then I met Dave and I had the business context and I learned a bunch of things on the job in industry. And then all of a sudden I was hit with that mom experience. I'm going to add that I lost my mom before I had my son. So this was a different kind of mom experience, reflecting on how I learned to bring it forward into my son's life as well. So then there was an added layer of narrative and learning about people and who they were as historical people. My mom was no different than a person in a history book. My son couldn't meet him. So how we tell stories about everything is how we learn. And I think Dave was saying about everything the brain sees is by pictures, and we learn in a pictorial way. So you have to use the storytelling, the narrative to tell anything that we're talking about, whether it's science and how atoms and molecules go together. We talk about it smushing together and you know, and they're like Lego blocks when electrons smush together and form into molecules because electrons, you know, connect like Lego blocks, you know. It's all about the language we use and how we, you know, look at things like a story, to tell a story. So I wanted to tell a story about some techniques that I stumbled upon for early years. Nobody else has really thought about the early years portion of mnemonics. We have ways to do really great things in colleges and corporations and in wellness initiatives and all these areas that memory reaches into. You can look at our ferromethod.com to learn more about our program and everything. But I'm going to flip the narrative from my side as a teacher to the narrative of the student, the early years student. This is where you got to just flip things around a little bit. And what I want to say is that we've had oral language a lot longer than written language.
Yes, absolutely.
So our brains are used to telling campfire stories more than they are about figuring out these weird little lines and squiggles on a page, right? So my kid was resistant to learning. We didn't know he needed glasses at the time, but he didn't want to learn his ABCs. And I was like, I need this kid to like ABC. How am I going to make ABCs? I mean, come on, how are we going to teach good old phonics? Because they don't teach phonics in school anymore. And then it hit me, just sort of my visual powers with the Farrow mnemonicizing and my auditory love of language, and I smushed it all together, and I kind of had some ideas here. And I'm going to jump into, this is as easy as a pencil and a paper or a chalk on a chalkboard. We have a wall in our kitchen where we just paint it with chalkboard paint. And we'll sit there, and I'll just randomly be watching TV and say, wait a second, how do you spell Batman? Come over to the chalkboard, right? So this is as easy as picking up a pen and paper. And this is as easy as it is as flashcards on a paper for a kid. I was thinking about how letters work, how everything works. Don't mind my face being gone, but you can see that when you have digital, it looks the same. SZ52, what the heck? What the heck, man? You got to learn all these squiggles and they look the same. What the heck? What's that all about, right? I got thinking about my mom and how she taught me things. And I thought to myself, well, she taught me about the word boy. But you know what? That's a boy. And I'm not going to forget that. And that's all of a sudden a word that I can mnemonicize. And I'm like, wait a second. I love languages. I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here. And I looked about the Fertile Crescent and languages and cultures, going 4,000 Egypt, the Sumerians, like everything. You got it. I went down a rabbit hole, ask Dave. But I looked at things and I thought, well, the A, he never used to be upright. It was on its side. And you know what before that? It was actually an oxen head. This is where the A comes from. So I thought, well, if those ancient peoples turned something that was a picture, turned something in a picture that you could recognize, then that made sense. Over time, language has changed. Letters have changed. Our current ABCs aren't pictures like that ox. We don't know what they represent because they're not pictures anymore that we know. They're just sounds that don't have a meaning. So what I realized is we have to make the sounds like and the looks like match up. So what I'm going to say here is going to be kind of, it's going to sound silly, but you want to make it look like the thing that it sounds like. You have to have that synchronicity, right? I'm going to dive in with an example, okay? We all know A is for airplane. But when it looks like, this is a chicken scratch drawing. I mean, I have better drawings in a PDF I can get to you later. But that A is a big airplane with a rocket power. Duh. It's a big airplane. And you have a little apple. The A is for apple. A is for airplane. It has the sound and it has the picture and it matches up. We're playing around. We're just playing around with these things. And we're making them look like, okay, we're gonna speed it up. So we got B is for bum. C is for cookie. B is for boot. It has to be things kids know about, okay? D is for dentist. I don't know, baby D. If you have an idea, submit it. E is for elephant. That's a memory mascot. F is for Farrow. You can find out more about ferromethod.com. And what about E and F? Well, the F is just a little baby F running ahead and shorter and rounder. That brings me along. Well, what about just letters? Well, I can't stop there. I got words and letters and spelling and grammar. The letters in B and D, they get mistaken. If you don't have to be dyslexic to see that B and D are similar, look at Look at B and E to make a bed. It's a direction that we can follow. Kids make that mistake all the time. Okay. So speaking of other mistake they make, I mean, look at that. What's the difference between mad and made? Well, there's a grammar rule about an E. That's sneaky silent ninja E that snakes up on vowels in the middle and makes them stop saying the sound like mad and makes it say its own name like A and made. Like cap and cape and fur and fire and tub and tube. Tube is almost a match. So I used all of these things I've been using to teach our son. Like I've been using these, and he's all of a sudden knowing old-fashioned like grammar rules, and he's understanding smart word, and he's reading smart word. He doesn't have confidence, but he's doing these. These are the things that I've used for my now grade 1 kid going into. We're homeschooling completely. We're not sending him to that school. We're doing it at home because we can do more effective learning. I just want to go over one more. There's bear versus bear. Sounds like and looks like, right? Well, I think. Hold on. I'm going to hold it up a little bit. Bear versus bear. Bear has the word ear in it. Yeah, so I'm going to show on this next one right here. Bear. Hold on, right there. It sounds you are bear. Did a pirate steal your clothes? Bear. It has the word ear. It sounds like ear and like hear, like you hear a bear growling in the woods to just like scare you into there's a bear, to know the difference. These are simple little pictures that show the looks like and the sounds like together. And these are things that I've stumbled upon just doodling at the chalkboard in the kitchen, in my pajamas, in my bathrobe, saying, okay, we got to do some learning here. Let's see, right? So these are the things that I've stumbled upon and what make your brain wake up and listen. This is what makes a kid wake up and listen. Now, yeah, okay, I've been talking. I'm not used to the formatting.
No, it made me literally, I was like, whoa, I could do that. My mind, the bed, brilliant. Like that's such a simple way. And we never learned before. Like you said, all the Egyptian rules and all that apply now. So that's brilliant. Thank you. So you gave us some really quick tips.
Yeah.
Love them. What are some specifics? Of course, we got to send everybody the Farrow method so we can get your program.
Of course.
Exactly.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
Are there anything that people can implement today? So are you saying to take the words and draw pictures of them in real time with them? How does that work at home?
Well, it's a whole process. It's a learning method. It's you can find out more in our program, but it's really about making the brain wake up and see visuals that represent the images and just kind of pull it all together for not having to think about things and just being front of mind. You can get the information in, you can remember things long term, and then you can just go along with more learning. You can get them to play, you can get them to doodle. What I did was just make an A on the chalkboard and then just say, what does it look like? I would get my son to doodle the Avengers assembling on that airplane, like Marvel. Sorry. I mean, you got a good airplane looking motif there. As an example, it could be any hero and you can do different doodles, but it has to be something that sticks for the child, something that they know that's relevant. And yeah, sometimes if Dave was just telling me, sometimes if the kid draws it and you get some interactive multisensory, then it'll mean something. Like in old-fashioned days when I would do cursive writing, and I've shown my son actually the difference between regular printing and cursive. I've showed his hand the feel of the form, and he can understand that there's something there.
Yeah, there's something different going on with the cursive writing. Yeah. So as an elementary school teacher, what do you foresee are the advantages now that parents are forced into the distant learning? Earlier, you talked about you're not sending your kid back to that school. What does that mean, and how can parents start to take on education as their primary being in that child's life?
So my whole thing right now is I want to talk about co-schooling. You're like, what is co-schooling? What is this thing? I've never heard this word. Well, of course you haven't. I've made it up. Let me just flip to my page right here because I want to get my prefixes right. So in their school is school, and homeschooling, and there's pretty clear definitions. We understand what they are. But in homeschooling communities, they often call the transition away from schooling unschooling or deschooling. And I'm a word nerd, so I looked up the prefixes in Latin and what they mean. Un means negative or oppositional, and it's very divisive. And D means a negative from Latin to divide or decide based on separation or segregation. And there's so much polarity in this world right now. And I didn't like those words. So I thought, well, what is co? What is co? Co comes from Latin meaning joining or together, like calm and combining. Or you fudge the letters a little bit and with grammar rules in Latin and it becomes correlate, like or colleague. These co words, they mean together, as a community. So what I'm talking about co-schooling is not a set of rules, but a philosophy or a mindset where you start a conversation. This is where I'm going to get my co-words right. Co-schooling is having a conversation as a community of learners, the parent, the educator, the teacher, the child, anyone involved. It could be grandma and grandpa if they're helping with lessons and homework. And if you're being safe with COVID rules, obviously, where we discuss common learning goals learn in cooperation with each other, with a lot of communication in these COVID times. And I kind of felt like there was a poem in there, but it's in conjunction with mental wellness and academics. The conversation starts at the individual level, and it means talking to that teacher and saying, hey, we're bummed out here at school. We can't do all these lessons, or I have a work schedule and this can't happen. But what we can do is this. How can we work with you? If you're in the school system, have a conversation. I started to have conversations in the kindergarten years, and we didn't have a lot of conversation. We had some wrong footing. But now's the time more than ever to have these conversations and just kind of get on board on the same platform as each other in these crazy, because nobody knows what anything is happening. Like, everything's crazy and chaos. So the only thing we can do and have power to do is start a conversation and get involved. Parents, you can get involved just talking and learning.
And that's really important. So thank you for, go ahead, Steph.
No, Andrea, I just wanted to chime in there. I think you have more allies out in the world who believe in that exact same philosophy than we may realize. I have a great elementary school educator friend, Caitlin Stevaletta, who really aligns with not only Dave, but now you, I'm sure. And I haven't even spoken to her, because the things that she shared with me are very much aligned with everything you just said. And so you're not only onto something, but you have a ton of allies out there. So
thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's good to know. Like, I'm just brand new to this homeschooling environment, and I want to try and make it less divisive. And the teachers, sometimes they're like, oh, those homeschool kids, or that's going to be hard. You don't want to do it. And I'm like,
Yeah. Maria, I like this. What are you thinking? I can see your mind going over there. What were you thinking?
All of this is beautiful, especially with the pictures and the letters and making the connection. I know it made me think of Color Purple when she was trying to teach her how to read, and she started labeling everything, the door and
Yep.
the table. And that's actually how I taught my son to read. Everything that he would interact with every single day, I labeled it. And so he's been reading probably since he's been 4. He just started one day. So I think that is just an awesome concept to connect those pictures with the letters and to make it interesting and to make the stories, because the children love the stories and they love to make up the stories. So I think that is right on time. And I just love all the co-schooling, because I've done the unschooling and it did not go well. Okay. Definitely love the co-schooling and all of the COs and connecting, which is something that I wrote over in the chat, where we definitely are connecting and getting back together and getting back to our roots, which is basically the village in which, like, you grew up in. It's really going to take this village to see us through this time.
Amen to that.
Absolutely. Steph, I know you have questions. You have some elementary school kids as well. So go for it.
So how did you and your team create the early years of education lesson plans and materials using the Farrow method?
just I want to say that there was some plan or process, but a lot was inspiration and just the infrastructure that Dave's created in the business. Inspiration of knowing how the brain works, how a toddler brain works, and how the Farrow method can be applied. I always used to say it's age 5 to 105. And then I thought, well, he's not reading at age 5 yet. How can I make this lower? You know, we just started with the alphabet at the start, I guess.
That's great. You know what's interesting? Back in 2009, when I had my first son, I was trying to find a way to find a path to be a good parent, to be a first-time dad, but to really educate him along the way. And it wasn't up until 2013 when I created Legacy Parenting Survivalware, which is based on the imprint that we establish with our kids between that 0 and 6 months. And we use the symbols and the shapes of a triangle and a rectangle to help create that. And so to your point, when we start introducing those symbols and geometric shapes, it's easy to lift off from there the actual language and the letters. So for example, in the rectangle, we have slats like the letter I. And then, I can point to my I. So that engagement piece that happens between 0 and 6 months really can help launch them into the Farrow method that takes everything else 1,000-fold.
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, what is
coming down there from Raven about how they got medical terminology with this?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like we've used this. I taught our son Lex just random facts. He loves science. He'll avoid spelling and reading. He'll accept numbers and math, and he loves science and all the crafts and stuff. And he wants to be the next Hawking, not the next Einstein, because Hawking was the replacement for Einstein as the smartest man in the world, he thinks. But I taught him who the first American man on the moon was. I'm like, there was this guy named Neil Armstrong. I said when he first landed on the moon, he went down on his knee. Because he went to kneel down on his knee, kneel down. And with his arms so strong, he planted that flag saying, "We're here first." Neil Armstrong. And then all of a sudden my son was going, "Neil Armstrong," and planting that flag on the moon. I said, well, the second man right after, all he could do to think about was, I don't know how I can beat that. His name was Buzz, like a bee. So all he thought was, I'm just going to buzz all around, buzz, like, but it's hard to do that on the moon. So it just looked goofy. But he buzzed all around Aldrin. And then all of a sudden now 2 days later, he's chirping off saying, "Oh, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin." And then he recognized Buzz Aldrin in a Stephen Hawking video. I said, "That's Buzz Aldrin." And he's like, "He was the second man on the moon." Like, you can learn this for anything from an eczema laser to like who Marie Curie is.
Just one fact at a time.
One fact at a time. Yes, got it. So what are 3 tools that parents and caregivers can do today to homeschool right now? What are 3 tools you can give them, Andrea?
Don't get overwhelmed, because there are resources everywhere. Before the internet, I might have had a different story. But I'm telling you, there is free, good content on YouTube and more in homeschooling communities. And I'm just getting started. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is just make it pictorial and make it fun, make it picture based. So your brain, you don't know what a chair is. You know what a chair is, but if somebody's name was chair, you'd think of a picture of a chair. I think Dave might have used that example. You need a picture of what things look like. You can't just imagine what a Sharon is, but if you imagine, a Sharon as sharing, a bunch of stuff with you, then that gives it context. You got to make it picture based, and you just got to get, you got to get the kids involved. You got to make them closing their eyes and imagining it, or writing it with their hand, or using some kind of involvement powers. That's, I guess, the 3 tips. So make it pictorial and get them involved, and just use all the resources everywhere. There's plenty of them.
Great. That's great coaching. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, this is my first time. So thank you, Dave.
No, you're doing awesome. Like, your energy, I really enjoy it because you know, you have that direct contact with your son on a daily basis. So that really helps. And then your experience in building out the programs and working with Dave all these years. I don't know if people got that. So do you want to share a little bit? We have some extra time here about how you came into the Farrow movement. And then, of course, there was some romance that happened, obviously. You guys got married.
So this is a fun story. Yeah. So like I said, I was a rural country girl, and I was a brand new teacher. I went to teachers college, and I got my whole life in order. I was going to be a teacher and all these things. Went to a Star Trek convention, and oh my goodness, this man had a dog and I was wearing elf ears. And we had attraction at first sight, and we had a nice long relationship where we got to know each other. But part of that was, oh, this is a smart guy. What can I learn? And I just started studying the program and listening to all of the, you know, the memory and the nerd alert. I know I'm a word nerd. So I was like, we can learn all the languages and end with Finnish together. All right. And then like I started learning on the job with the business. I knew I could just kind of reach wider audiences working with him. What's that, Dave?
Well, you went to colleges with me.
Oh yeah, I followed him on the trail. I was the camera person, you know, behind the camera, handing out forms and making sure his luggage was packed and everything. Like I would study every aspect of the business. I'm just a jack of all trades and a master of none, except now being a mom and an early years content provider.
Woo, woo. Thank you to early years mom provider, Andrea Farrow. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to take a quick, we're going to turn this around. So what we like to do at the end is everybody gets to share out what they're up to in the world. And so, so people can find out where you're at and learn more about your resources. So can you give us, I think you put the website up before, we're going to put that up now, thefarrowmethod.com. And is there anything that you want to gift our audience or tell them any specials that you're offering on your new program? Go ahead. It's your turn to talk more about the Farrow Method.
Okay, so I guess the only thing I want to do is I want to keep on having conversations with people out there. If you're stressed, if you're frazzled, if you just want to help, get some help as a sounding board, I can explain teacheries, what I'm offering. Here is $50 phone calls, consultations to help you figure out a game plan if you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling frazzled. It's a dash of Farrow Method, a dash of lesson plans if you need help, any kind of expertise, kind of, you know, tap into my brain, and I can offer advice on a phone call, and you'll get a free PDF of fancy, pretty PDF drawings of the alphabet letters A to F that I showed on the screen with my drawings, but you'll get, you know, the real teaser that's going to go into our program.
All right. Thanks for sharing that. Maria, what are you up to in the world?
Oh, quite a lot. So this is Self-Love September. So on a weekly basis with I Am Green, which is a, what is it called? A business, right? A social enterprise that I co-founded, I Am Green, which our sole purpose is to reconnect our community to the planet and each other. And we are in Self-Love September, and we're talking about relationships. We're talking about robust relationships during this month. And the first one, of course, starts with yourself. So we're going to be sharing nuggets every week on a weekly basis about what self-love looks like to you. And we will also be continuing our Community Care Wednesday, every Wednesday, Facebook Live in our I Am Green group. So join our group. I Am Green at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every single week, where we talk about what a robust community is, how we can create them, and how we can support them. So please join us.
And Steph, what are you up to in the world?
So quite a bit as usual. But Andrea brought up something very important. It's about all the free resources out there. And that was a great segue to our etap.org/adaptive learning platform, where we've actually taken the time and consolidated all of those free resources into, unfortunately, it's a subscription model, but it is a nonprofit. And we've consolidated into one platform under etap.org/adaptive learning, to where you could actually access all of that through the grade level that you're in. So it allows a student and a parent to and a teacher at that point to connect and go back for remedial lessons or move forward to be more challenging. So there's a lot of nimbleness in that platform, but it also allows a teacher to create a virtual teaching assistant to help them with their curriculum development. One of the things that we've recently done that I'm super excited about is we've partnered with classroomapp.com. And for $20 a student, again, $20 a student, we've put that under our nonprofit umbrella. But this platform is a true LMS, learning management system, that school districts or school sites, individual school sites, charter schools can really adopt, that allows them a closed loop, safe and secure system, but it allows the educator and the teacher to push and pull content instead of requiring the student to do some of that heavy lifting. And it also has, it's cloud-based, so it has some AI and some predictive analytics in it, so we can identify where student opportunities or some students who may be internalizing and really taking a different path. And so some of the analytics can help us identify some of that. And that's all happening on classroomapp.com. But I want to give a shout out to Urban Alchemy 360 and Urban Alchemy Network because we here at Legacy Parenting Survivalware and Built by PN Industries, our parent company, Brands for Utility, Interaction, Learning, and Thought, are actually sponsoring Got School Now with a donation of $150. And so we're putting the challenge out there as a call to action for sponsors to match that. Obviously, $150 isn't a huge needle mover, but it makes a difference when we're providing you free resources and content to help you through this difficult time of distance learning. And Legacy Parenting Survival Brew, the coffee that works for you, is there to support you, because we don't advocate alcohol consumption or adult beverages, but we will advocate consumption of coffee all day, every day. So thank you very much. And that's what we're up to.
Well, thank you, Steph. We are excited. Thank you, Legacy, for the contribution. Of course, we do offer this free programming. So that actually is a perfect segue into our next section. I have some news to share. So Got School was literally the brainchild of everyone that you see that's on this call today. But Urban Alchemy 360, the UA 360 network, is going to create more shows. So if you have a unique perspective that has to do with the mind, body, or soul, hit us up on our email address. It's hello@urbanalchemy360.com. Send us your information and someone will get back to you. We're going to be producing more shows, more content, something that has a unique perspective on the mind, body, and soul. So also check out the link below so you can support this programming. As Steph said, Got School is a free resource and we want to be able to do more. And we also want to provide more programming on our network. And our sponsors help us do that. And I'd like to give a shout out to our director, Mailon Rivera, for the timeless effort that he puts into making sure that we all look and sound amazing and directing the show. Thank you, Mailon Rivera, woo, woo, our director, and the UA 360 team behind the scenes making this all happen. You've been listening to Got School on the UA 360 network. We'll see you next Thursday. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Hey, Maria, I love the earring. Come.
Oh, thank you. I love yours, Adria.
Oh, my heart. You know that's my brand, right? I blow heart. Yeah. So everything hearts. Thank you for tuning in.
See ya.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Miss Memory.
Dismissed from drama school with a note that read, "Wasting her time. She's too shy to put her best foot forward." Turned down by the Decca Recording Company, who said, "We don't like their sound and guitar music is on the way out." A failed soldier, farmer, and real estate agent. At 38 years old, he went to work for his father as a handyman. Cut from the high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. A teacher told him he was too stupid to learn anything, and he should go into a field where he might succeed by virtue of his pleasant personality. Fired from a newspaper because he lacked imagination and had no original ideas. His fiancée died, he failed in business twice, he had a nervous breakdown, and he was defeated in 8 elections. If you've never failed, you've never lived.